Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to whoever's listening. This is Peter Gearing from Geekhead. This is me with another review for you because I like movies and I like to force you to listen to what I have to say about them. Okay, so the film I watched most recently is Guardians of the Galaxy. You may have heard of it. Really big production values, lots of hype behind it, and how did it do? Okay, I've seen a lot of reviews of this. I didn't I didn't read them until after I had watched the movie, and they seem to really like it. I saw one that was 9.5 out of 10, another was 9 out of 10. I've seen some pretty good scores overall. Not yet checked Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic, but I'm expecting it to be very highly rated, particularly in the user reviews. And what's my take on it? It's quite a decent film, quite entertaining. Probably, to give it a number, a solid 7 out of 10. Pretty good. Just to explain, when I say 5 out of 10, I mean completely average, nothing great, nothing terrible. 6 out of 10 means an above average film. So 7 out of 10 is pretty good. It is pretty good. I like it. It's not perfect, but it's a good and entertaining, if mostly lightweight feeling film. So can't leave you with that. Have to go through the positives and the negatives. So let's get started. First off, the positives. It has fantastic production values. I only watched it in 2D, so I can't comment on the 3D because 3D is a gimmick that can die as far as I'm concerned. But it's got great visuals. It looks amazing. The world feels alive and feels lived in. Different places and races have very different looks and different feels. There's a very diverse group of humanoid aliens. I don't remember seeing too many non-humanoid aliens, but there's a good set of diversity in it. The second positive, going about the characters, 4 out of 5 of the main characters, the Guardians, are good to very good. So, starting with our lead, Star-Lord, Peter Quill, he's a good character. He's got a very set character. It's memorable. It's entertaining. The actor, can't remember his name, but he has a good screen presence, good comic timing. He's interesting to watch, which is always good. Groot, as voiced by Vin Diesel, is charming. Vin Diesel's a very underrated voice actor, I think, and he brings a lot with very little material to work with. Groot's not the most interesting character. He's a very simple character overall, but it works. But then you have the two standout characters of the Guardians, Drax and Rocket Raccoon. Now, Rocket Raccoon is just hilarious the whole time. I could watch an entire movie just of him just doing stuff. He's that entertaining. Whenever he's on screen, I'm having fun. It's great. And he's also a character with surprising depth. I mean, you don't see a lot of it, just a couple of very little scenes, but they're enough to really, for want of a better word, humanize this raccoon. It's great. And then you have Drax, who has a pretty good character arc throughout the film. He starts off a certain way, he goes through some very good experiences that leave him just a different person at the end. Of all the characters, I would say that Drax has the best character arc. And the performance by Dave Bautista is a lot better than it has any right to be. The man is not a good actor overall, but he makes this work. And Drax has some particular quirks and bits that are pretty interesting. Overly literal interpretation, for one. You say a metaphor around him, and he'll respond just like, "But why would we do this? I am not a woman." It makes sense in context, and it's actually really good. He's got a good character arc. The supporting cast, mostly nothing to write home about. They're nothing that special, but they're okay. They fulfill their roles pretty well. The heroes and the villains do okay. And then you have, on the villain side, one character, Nebula, played by Karen Gillan, and she does so much with this character in her performance. Really makes this character something special. I would love to see her come back in another film because she makes a villain who you can sympathize with and understand while still remaining a villain. She's not a cardboard cutout villain, she's a real person. She's almost as good overall, I would say, as Loki. Loki's better, he's more deep, but she does well. And there is at least one standout scene. Now, minor spoiler on this, there's a prison break, and it is just balls to the wall, entertaining action. It's fantastic. Everything about this scene works. It's funny, it's action packed, it's exciting, it's tense, it's dramatic. It is all brilliant. That scene is what the rest of the movie should have been. Not that the rest of the movie is terrible, but it's not that good. If the whole film had been like the prison breakout, this film would be a 10 out of 10. That scene is perfect. But there are some issues. Now, going back to the characters, one negative for me was the character of Gamora, played by Zoe Saldana, and it's not her. She does a good performance. She is a very good actress, but she has very little proportionally to work with here. Her character's biggest stuff happens in the backstory. Again, mild spoiler here. It's revealed very early in the film that she's not actually working for the bad guys, even though she had said she was. But she does nothing to earn that. She starts out the film on the bad guy ship, looks like she's working for them, goes to fight Star-Lord to try to steal something from him, looks like she's working for the bad guys, but then reveals she's not. She does nothing to earn that change. There's no arc in there. And her character doesn't really have an arc, doesn't change, and just, it's not so much that she is bad, it's that she is missing what could have made her great. Because the moral dilemma she is presented with is something that is possibly the strongest backstory element. But we needed to see it. If we'd seen it, she would have been amazing. Instead, she comes off a little flat. And coming off flat in a film as colourful as Guardians of the Galaxy is probably the worst thing you can do. The second major problem is with the plot. Not that the plot is bad. It's easy to follow. You know who's doing what. You know why they're doing it. There's no major problems there. But it does lack cohesion with the big moments. For instance, again, spoiler here, they go to meet the Collector. But that part of the plot doesn't seem to go anywhere. All this build up for it, but then it doesn't really lead to anything beyond an exposition dump. And that isn't really useful. And another moment in the climax, Star-Lord has a vision of his mother, but there is nothing that happens to suggest that was important. There's no build to it. It comes out of nowhere, and it just confused me in the cinema. At the end of the film, he opens up a package from his mum, and again, there's no build. There's nothing to earn that moment, to give it significance. And some of these big moments have nothing to earn them. Or they're moments that could have been big, but there's nothing behind them. But again, the plot makes sense. It just has some issues with the big moments. The biggest issue with me in the film, though, is tone. Sometimes the tone does not mesh very well. I'll use one example, and I won't give specifics, but near the action climax, the big finale moment, there is a beautiful, lovely, kind, soft, gentle moment of pure whimsy that does not fit with the action climax. It's a lovely moment, but it shouldn't have been there. And there are little moments like that throughout the film that just pull me out, where you could have had this amazing sequence, but it's undercut. This is an issue I've often found with Joss Whedon, actually, as a director, that he undercuts drama with humor that wrecks the tone sometimes. He did it in The Avengers way too much for my tastes. Yes, I'm insulting Joss Whedon. Get over it. No, he's a good director, but he does have some issues. These moments where the tone just flips, it does not help the film, and it weakens it a lot. If it had been a more consistent tone throughout the movie, or if the moments where it changes had been better timed, better written, better placed, again, I'd be bumping this movie up, probably to an 8 out of 10. So those are my good and negative points about the film. For the good side, yeah, it's got good characters, a nice simple story, it's easy to understand. The main villain, is suitably intimidating, if a little bit flat. And you get some teases for the wider cinematic universe, some hints of Thanos, for instance. In fact, some major scenes with Thanos. And characters related to him are very important to the plot, so he's been dropped in there. Plenty of build for the big villain here, which is good. But it's not quite serious enough or silly enough. The tone just does not work for me. I'm not going to say it's bad. If you find the tone great, more power to you. Enjoy it. It's not a bad film. I recommend watching it. Like I say, a solid 7 out of 10. Very entertaining. It's just tightening up in a few areas. Could have made it even better. And one of the five main characters has too much of her important backstory happen off screen and not enough of her inner turmoil on screen to make her really compelling. So thank you for listening. Any comments and likes and everything, leave below. And if you disagree with me, tell me why. Love to hear your opinions too. But for now, this is Peter Gearing from Geekhead, signing off.